Welcome to the Expansive with Anna Gatman podcast, where we talk about how to participate in the spiritual evolution taking place at this time on our planet, how you can accelerate your spiritual growth to meet the challenges of our times, and personal tools to help you thrive, flourish, and help shift human and planetary consciousness. Because 1 degree shift can change our world. I'm your host, Anna Gatman. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everybody. It's time for another episode of Expansive with Anna Gatman. And today's episode, we are going to focus on being the light you want to see in the world. And how can you be this pillar of light in this world when everything is so divisive and when everything seems so dark? How can you be the pillar of light? And I want to use 2 comments that I got in relationship to that. And bring them out because they bring really good points about how to be the light you want to see in the world. How can you be the light when it's so hard to find it in yourself and in others when the world is so divisive? And what does it mean to be a pillar of light to help humanity evolve its consciousness? So let's dive straight in. So twice a week, I send out a mystical moment. And if you're on my mailing list or in my expansive community, then you receive those twice a week. And every week I pick a quality. I pick a quality and I connect to that quality and receive some guidance or message, a mystical message from that quality. And one of the weeks was the quality of light. Another week has been the quality of love, or the quality of hope, or the quality of courage, or the quality of acceptance. So different weeks have different qualities. And because everything is alive and everything is energy and everything is intelligent consciousness, then even equality is not just a word in the English language, but has its own personality and its own essence. And so I connect to the mystical aspect of equality, receive a message, and send out twice a week a message for that week's quality. And so a few weeks ago, the quality was light. And so I want to read to you the first message, then the second one, and then we'll take it from there. So quality of light. And the message says, you are radiant. You glow from within. Whatever you do and whatever you touch leaves a trace of brilliance, a sparkle that uplifts the spirit. Never forget who you truly are. It's a beautiful message just to remind us where we come from. We come from divine, sacred consciousness, from light, from love. But here I got a comment from a person that I was working with. And that person said, well, it sounds more like a New Age thing. Oh, we're all light, we're all one. The world is so divisive. It's hard in these times to feel I am the light. And it just sounds like it's not fitting the times that we're in. So I thank that person for bringing that comment. And I want to speak to that. So we are beings of light. We are divine consciousness. And as we are consciousness, we come from consciousness. We come from the non-physical. Then, through complex processes, we incarnate and become physical. And so as a whole person, we are both physical manifestations of the consciousness, the sacred divine consciousness from which we are born, from which we come, from which everything comes in the universe and on our material, incarnate planet Earth. And so it is important to remember who we are at our essence. Because when the world becomes divisive, we go more into our human self, which sees things as separate and divisive and either or, good or bad, black or white, you're right, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. And when that becomes amplified, we end up with wars and terrible atrocities that we do to each other as human beings and to our planet, to nature. But if we're able to remember the source from which we come at the same time as we are being human incarnate beings, then we remember that we come from light, that we come from love, that we come from divine sacred consciousness. And then if we walk in the world this way, then we become pillars of light on the planet. And so it is not about being, oh, we're all light. We are all light. We're all one. Some new age truth that we are all one and all light and we should just all love each other. No, being a pillar of light is remember the sacredness that you come from and bringing that sacredness into your daily material, mundane living. That's what it means to be a pillar of light. It's not to just be some fluffy, we're all one. It's about bringing that consciousness of divinity, of sacredness from which we come, and imbue our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, the decisions we make, the actions we take, everything to imbue that with this divine consciousness of love and of light. So to do that, it also means to stand for something that we care for. It's not just let's escape into the light. No, it's let's bring this light onto our earth, which means that when you see something that doesn't sit with your values, you stand up for it. You take action because it's not about escaping into the light, but it's about bringing the light into earth and having more of us as pillars of light, bringing our values of sacred divinity into our interactions and into everything that we do. And so it's really about being grounded in the earth and grounded below into the soil and the earth. And then from above, we are connected to the stars. And there we are between the stars and the soil, the earth, beings of light, standing for who we are at our essence. And if we have to stand up and say, this is not okay, then we do that because that is what it means to bring the light onto planet Earth. And that is what it means to bring the light into our life and into divisive situations that we find ourselves in. So you see, it's very different than some new age notion of let's escape into the light. We're all love, we're all light. We should just love ourselves, play guitar, sing some songs, and everything is going to be okay. Now, I know I'm saying it in a bit of a putting down way because that's how I feel that people think of the light. But it's something much stronger and more real. We were created of divine consciousness. We are wondrous, magical beings on planet Earth. At the edge of creation, each one of us in our life and together as a human consciousness, as humanity, to bring that sacred consciousness into our daily life and into civilization and into our relationship with each other and our relationship with nature, with planet. So it's very much about being proactive and standing for your values and for your beliefs. That's what it means to be a being of light. And that's what it means to be a pillar of light. Now, we see ourselves and experience ourselves as individuals, right? We are born separate into individuation. That is what the material world is about. But on a consciousness level, in a non-physical level, we swim in the same pool of consciousness. The consciousness of humanity is like an ocean a pool. And so if you are a pillar of light in this ocean, you are a drop that's influencing the entire ocean. And if I stand up with my values, with the sacredness that I want to bring into the world from this place, then I become a drop that is influencing the entire pool and ocean of humanity. So it's all about showing up fully and not escaping into the light. That is what it means to be a pillar of light. That is what it means to me. And so that is my response to the first comment and the first mystical message from the quality of light. Now I want to go to the second message. So on Mondays, usually the first message is sent out. And then on Thursday, the second one is sent out. And I need to find it. And here it is. And so there was a comment there too. So I want to do a quick little shout out here for Cher, who just recently joined my community. And she's a lovely lady. And we spoke and connected and realized we have a lot of things in common. And she has a book that just came out. And I'm just going to do a quick shout out for it. Her book is called Europe with Two Kids in a Van, Travel, Memoir, and Guide. Cher by Cher Davidson. And this book came out 50 years ago, and she's celebrating 50 years for that book. She traveled with her family and two small girls through France, Europe. And so the second comment to the message of light came from Cher. And so I am sharing Cher's comment. But let me first read the message from light. You are a light being, clothed in human form. Everyone you meet is a light being, clothed in human form. May you see yourself and each other as pillars of light, offering your particular brilliance to brighten our world, uplift humanity and our planet. And so Cher wrote in the comments in the Expansive community, she wrote, I agree with what you have posited, that we all have the potential, if not yet realized, to be pillars of light. But in a world that grows darker and darker by the day, with violence perpetrated by humans on humans, not to mention the environment, nature in all her beauty, it is hard to hold on to that concept of myself, even as a pillar of light, when I feel so powerless to change things, to stop the violence. So thank you to Cher for bringing this perspective in, because it's really important to bring it in, because again, we don't want to whitewash light and for it to be something fluffy. We want to bring it in and for it to be real, because we each struggle with being a light, and we each have our dark corners of our soul, of our being, that are really hard for us. And then we see a war on the other side of the planet, and it awakens the violence inside ourselves or the helplessness inside ourselves. And we feel we have to take sides, and maybe our communities force us or tell us, you have to take sides, you have to, this is right and this is wrong. And suddenly one side is all right to be violent and the other side is all wrong to be violent. And it's like, it's like endless. That's not what it's about to be a pillar of light. To be a pillar of light, you have to step beyond that. You have to be more expansive in your perspective. You have to see yourself as divine consciousness, bringing divine consciousness to the planet. And from that place, you can look and see, okay, how do I see this situation? Where is it in alignment with me and where is it not? So Cher is talking about herself feeling powerless. So here is a tip, and I'm already straightening up as I'm saying it, because the way to start being a pillar of light, to you, Cher, and to everyone, just physically open your chest, come in with power, and tell yourself, just say, I am a being of light. I am a pillar of light on this planet. I am here to bring my highest self, my divine inner being, and express it in my unique way on this planet. And I'm going to stand for what I value. I'm going to do it from a compassionate way, from a compassionate place, from a loving place. But I'm going to try to understand both sides, because when there's a conflict, every side is right and every side is wrong. If I can put it in those simple terms, every side has a part where if you understand where they're coming from, it makes all the sense in the world. And yet it's not enough for you to, in the name of the fact that I understand where you're coming from, for you to be brutal or nasty, mean. Because of that, I can understand where you're coming from, and yet you have to own what you do and what you do with where you're coming from. So understanding where people come from helps us to be more compassionate. It doesn't let anybody off the hook for any brutality and any acts of violence that are taking place. It just explains where you're coming from. Oh, I can understand that. But it's no excuse. It's just a description for this is what I hold inside. And that's why it's hard for me, maybe not to be violent. But you still are responsible for your violence. And I'm responsible for my violence, thoughts, actions, words, decisions. And so share, and to everyone else, it's like just physically open your chest and remember, I am a being of light. If you're listening to my podcast, you have read books about spirituality. You have listened to meditations. You have gone to workshops. You know about becoming a force of peace. You know what it's like to first put a smile on your face and then feel the smile. If you don't feel like smiling, just put the smile on your face, and maybe it will be forced to begin with, but then suddenly it'll be a genuine smile. So open yourself up, ground yourself in the earth, rise up to the stars, and then hold yourself as a sacred being of light, of divine consciousness. And imagine yourself walking in the world as such. You could walk in the supermarket and say, I am divine consciousness walking on this planet right now. What would the interaction be different if you cross someone, or someone asks you if you could move, or asks you a question or some guidance, or the cashier who is working hard and stressed, and suddenly you show up with a smile because you're going to remind them that they too are a conscious being of light. Because we are all here together to remind ourselves where we come from. And the experiment on planet Earth is where we come from, to bring that consciousness, divine, non-physical consciousness, into our material, physical existence. That is the experiment on planet Earth. And each one of us, our life is a spiritual practice. And the spiritual practice is to bring this divine consciousness through our creative expression, through our humor, through our personality. It's not about all of us being at peace and sitting kind of like this, and all of us being peaceful like some monk. That's an idea of some ideal being peaceful, but it's not. It's being you. It's being me. I am more of a fiery person than a kind of peaceful person speaking like that. And so I could hate myself forever for not being this peaceful like some monk that I've seen on YouTube. But instead of it, I contribute the element of fire into humanity and into the pool of consciousness of humanity. What do you bring? What is the quality that you bring in? What is the unique quality that you bring in? We need all of them. We've made spirituality something very narrow, and we have to adhere to compassion and peacefulness. And beyond that, enthusiasm, delight, joy, yes. Grace, yes. But fire, passion, creativity, whatever we do, all these mundane things that we do are part of this beautiful creation of humanity and civilization on planet Earth. It's all part of spirituality. And so you need to bring you, and I need to bring me. We each need to bring ourselves as pillars of light. And so that's what I suggest, just to tell yourself, fake it till you make it, to be a pillar of light. Breathe deeply, take your shoulders back, put a forced smile on your face until it feels real, and start walking throughout your day, whether you're at home, you're in the office, you're walking in the street, whatever you're doing, you're traveling. I am a pillar of light. My job is to connect to my highest self, my inner being, my inner divinity, and to bring my values into this world, my personality into this world, and to be that colorful you or special color or nuance of color that I am. That's what you should be doing. And so, when the world is divisive, and it's divisive on things that are really significant, it's not just divisive on, what color car we should buy. It's divisive around, I'm an Israeli, so I can bring in the conflict of Israel and the Palestinians. We're talking about, slaughter of people. Or if we're talking about politics, we are divisive about things that are going to make a significant difference in policy that relates to is climate change going to accelerate and happen faster, or is it going to slow down a bit? So these are important things that are affecting us all. So how can you come from this place of being a pillar of light and yet say, I stand here. I stand here, and this is what I believe in, and this is the light that I want to bring in. And so here's another tip. A question you can always ask yourself at the highest level, instead of going into stories of this is right, this is wrong, there's context, there's history, there's political views. It's like, ask yourself, am I losing my humanity at this moment? Or am I sustaining or amplifying my humanity at this moment? It's a simple question. But if you practice it, it's a spiritual practice it can be a quantum leap. Because at this moment, if I'm watching something on TV and I'm judging and I'm taking position, am I losing my humanity at this moment when I'm doing this? Are you losing your humanity when you're taking sides? And it's different to stand for your sacred values, and it's different to lose your humanity because you have this opinion and you take this side or that side. Because if you are aligned to your divine self, it will always be about a win-win solution. It will always be about compassion for the other. It will always be about compassion and understanding of yourself. It will always be about creating wholeness in the situation, in your life, in your world, in our world, on our planet. And so that's very different to come from that place than to say, this is what I believe in and I don't believe in that, kind of in a divisive way. So think more visually, vertically, rather than horizontally. If you're thinking vertically, you're aligned to yourself. And when you're aligned to yourself, look at the situation. And so if we take the situation in Israel and Gaza, for example, I look at centuries of anti-Semitism, and the Holocaust 80 years ago brings upon a people who have decided never again. We will become a strong military force, and we will gain land more and more, and we will just take care of ourselves so that we never have to be in the situation of centuries of anti-Semitism and the Holocaust, the genocide of the Holocaust. That's my understanding of where the Israeli people come from as a general broad stroke. But that does not justify for a second the slaughter of thousands of Palestinians, elderly men, women, children. It does not justify it. Instead, if as the Jewish people, we have gone through all the suffering that we have gone through, to be aligned to our true self, to Jewish values, would be to say, stop. No more slaughter. We want peace. Not saying there's no one to make peace with, because there's no one to make peace with on the Israeli side either. It's to stand and say, we have suffered so much. We don't want anybody, Jewish or not Jewish, to suffer like we have. We need to find a peaceful solution right now. That is what it means to be a pillar of light and to come from our highest self. Not to say, well, the latest slaughter that occurred, which was horrific on October 7, justifies now to erase Gaza. They started it. It's their fault. They brought it on themselves. Each one has to be responsible for what they did. And Israel is going to have to be accountable for what it's doing. And it's not okay. It's not okay to have chosen this action instead of a peaceful solution. And then you can look at the Palestinian side and you can say, decades of occupation, that would bring the worst conditions where there's a feeling of there's nothing to lose. So let's just do a horrific attack. There's nothing to lose. Let's do it. I understand those conditions, but you need to be accountable for your highest divine consciousness. And these actions, this slaughter doesn't come from that higher place. It comes from a place of separation where you have lost your humanity. And so both sides have lost their humanity and are justifying their actions because of colonialism, occupation, the Holocaust, anti-Semitism. I mean, are enough ghosts in the region to fight forever, for eternity, and to have a third world war. But that is not the way to move forward. And that doesn't come from an aligned place with our sacred divinity. So I want to thank both comments that I received because they were really important ones. And I like the challenge because I really want this to be real. And if we're talking about the quality of light, we want to ground it in our power, in our fire, in our passion, in what we care for, what we're willing to stand up for, and not for it to be something that is whitewashed and just kind of, okay, we're all light, we're all one. So I send you blessings of light. I send you blessings of grounding yourself in the earth and rising up connected to the stars and feeling that you are a pillar of light in the ocean of humanity. And that your one voice and your one humanity, amplifying your humanity, not giving up on it, sustaining it, amplifying it, that is what's going to change the situation that we're in. And if you do it and somebody else does it and somebody else does it and somebody else does it and I do it and more of us do it, well, then we are going to evolve the consciousness of humanity. So the more we do it, the faster we do it, the more we evolve. The more we fall into darkness, the more we fall into hopelessness where I'm just one person, I can't do it, it's too much. the more we are contributing to the darkness and to the suffering. And we don't want to contribute. There is enough darkness. There is enough suffering. So let's, each one of us, fake it till we make it. Broaden our shoulders, be connected to the earth and to the stars, and bring the light that we each are and the love that we each are to each other, to our life, to our planet, to our world. Blessings.